What's up, survivalists? Malcolm here, Survival Know-How. And are we in store for an economic collapse in 2019? Maybe. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the channel. I put out content all about prepping, survival, and self-reliance. So if you're new here, subscribe and hit that little bell icon to stay current on my latest content. So you may have noticed that the US stock market has been incredibly volatile for the last year. And many people are saying this could be the start of a market correction, a recession, maybe even an economic collapse. And I gotta be honest, I'm kinda in that camp. So let me just run through some facts for you guys really quickly about what is concerning me about the current condition of our economy. So in the United States, over the last 100 years, on average, our stock market goes up for 7 years, and then it has a market correction. Goes up for 7 years, has a market correction. Up for 7 years, market correction. That is the average. We have now been in a bull market, which is where the market goes up, for 10 years. Never before in the United States history have we ever had a bull market go this long without a market correction. We are just overdue for a market correction. And I gotta be honest, I don't wanna get too political here, but it doesn't really matter who our president is when you're looking at it from this perspective. Whether it's Hillary or whether it's Trump, during their 8-year tenure, statistically, they're just likely to have a major market correction during their presidency. So what's different? Why has the market been going up for so long like it's never done before? Well, there's a lot of factors to it, but in my opinion, the largest one is the Federal Reserve. After the 2008 recession, the Federal Reserve dramatically lowered interest rates to help stimulate the economy. And they have kept them incredibly low for the last 10 years. I don't know if any of you bought a house recently, but if you bought one anywhere between 2009 and 2017, most likely your interest rate was somewhere in the 3%. Just to put this in perspective, when you bought a home in the 1970s, interest rates were around 17%. So these are absurdly low interest rates that we've had, and we've had these for a long, long time. So this bull market that we've been in for the last 10 years is artificial. It should not have been this high. It is only this high because interest rates are so low that everybody's going out there buying new cars. Everybody's going out there buying new houses, selling houses, buying bigger houses. We're essentially seeing another bubble right now. Now, for the past 2 years, the Federal Reserve has been increasing the interest rates. They cannot keep them this low forever. They have to raise them. They've been raising them. Interest rates on a home mortgage have gone up from 3.5% a couple years ago to about 5.25% right now. And the Federal Reserve has already announced that in 2019, they plan on raising interest rates 2 more times this year. All right, so everything aside, that alone, just from that macro perspective, us being the longest bull market in United States history, and as well as acknowledging that this is an artificial market that we're in right now, and their main stimulus of having these low interest rates is about to come to end. Those 2 facts alone really make me confident that we're gonna see a major market correction here in America. So let's take a look at the last 2 major market corrections that we've had here in America. In 2001, we had the dot-com bubble. So that's called a bear market when the market's going down. Then we had a nice long bull market, again, for about 7 years until the peak of 2008, when it popped once again, and again, the stock market dropped by 50%. So now we've been riding this wave up for 10 years. We're at an all-time high. The S&P 500 is at almost 3,000. We've now dropped 20% from this all-time high. And if you ask me, most likely it's going to continue to drop until it gets to at least 50% of its all-time high, just like it did in 2008, just like it did in 2001. All right, so that's just from a macro perspective, right? Now, there are other influencers in the market that really scare me. I hate to get political, but I kind of have to have this conversation with you. So let's talk about Trump. According to Trump's Twitter, Trump is apparently a tariff man. And Trump has gotten us in this crazy trade war with China. So what this means is many of the goods that we import from China, Trump is now charging a 25% tariff on those to China. So you're probably thinking, well, that's great. That's more money going to our government. What's wrong with that? Here's the problem. China, in order to offset these tariffs, are now raising the cost of these products that we're importing. So you are now spending more money for these Chinese imports, and more of that money is now going to our government. This is essentially a tax. more money is coming out of your pocket and going into our government's pockets. And that's not where it ends. China has now retaliated and is charging up to 25% on many US products that it imports into its country. And in an ironic twist, they're actually targeting Republican states to try to hurt Trump's constituents. So things like corn, soybean, and wheat, when it gets imported into China, China is now taxing those imports at 25%. This means less money in the pockets of our farmers. The bad news doesn't stop there. Let's talk about Trump's FBI investigation for a moment. And again, this is a really deep rabbit hole. I don't want to go down too far with you guys right now. But let's just throw something out here. Mueller has been investigating Trump's campaign for almost 2 years now. He has gotten numerous indictments. Once Flynn gets sentenced, that'll be 3 people from Trump's campaign that has been sentenced to jail time since the 2016 election. Everybody is expecting Mueller to finally release his findings sometime in the first quarter of 2019. So when he does that, one of 2 things is going to happen. He's either going to say, Trump is squeaky clean. He didn't find anything on Trump or any of his family members. They did absolutely nothing wrong. If that happens, that is going to have a slight positive impact on the stock market, right? Consumer confidence in the market is going to go up. If Mueller states anything negative, anything, if he looked at Trump's tax records and found out some negative stuff in there, he found more evidence that Trump's family was lying or had been involved somehow in illegal activity, or that Trump was committing campaign fraud, right? Any negative news out of the Mueller investigation, I think, is just going to further divide the country and hurt the stock market, and it's going to cause it to plummet even further. So in my opinion, if the FBI releases their findings on the Trump investigation over the next few months, and you combine that with the Trump tariffs, and you combine that with the Federal Reserve raising interest rates, which we know is going to negatively affect the stock market, and you combine that with just the natural market correction that we're experiencing right now, it is going to be an economic shitstorm, in my opinion. Also, I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but real estate market also goes up and it goes down. When it's going up, it's a seller's market. When it goes down, it's a buyer's market. We are currently in a shift, and we have been so for the last year. Typically, the stock market and the real estate market, they're not always correlated to one another, but they both kind of got reset in 2008, and they've both been rising up in the last 10 years. The real estate market has peaked in many areas, and it is already lowering, and homes are losing value as well. Again, it's just really bad timing. Personally, my predictions for the next year is that the S&P 500 is going to lose at least 50% of its value. It may even go higher than that with all these other crazy factors playing into it. The real estate market has already shifted and is already in a downward market, and it's going to continue to go that way, especially with the Federal Reserve raising interest rates, which is going to mean that consumers lose much of their buying power. So it's time for the question of the day. What do you guys think is going to happen in 2019 in the US stock market? Do you think that we're going to rebound and keep on going up, or do you think we're going to have one of these natural, healthy market corrections and come back down to a more reasonable price? I want to hear your answer down in the comment section below this video. And just in case you guys are wondering, this is not financial advice, but back in October, personally, I sold every single stock that I owned. I saw the volatility in the market, and I got out of there. And this may seem a little crazy, but I snuck the majority of that money that I pulled out of the market into cryptocurrencies. If you guys want to find out more about that, click this video over here where I talk about what you can do to protect yourself in an economic collapse. And again, that's not financial advice. I'm not recommending that you sell everything and invest it all in cryptocurrencies. It's just what I personally did. Thanks so much for watching. If you're new here, hit that red subscribe button. I put out content all about prepping, survival, and self-reliance, and I'll see you over in the next video.